Welcome to Jobbed Out, the wrestling editorial that reminds you getting a credit card belonging to a bankrupted company? Probably not best for business.
I like to enjoy the finer things in life. I've got my WCW MasterCard.
Get the official WCW MasterCard, featuring new designs, great rates,
and all the benefits that go along with it. Get it? Yes!
Spring of 2001 was both an incredibly sad time for pro wrestling and an equally exciting one. Vince McMahon was riding the highest of highs, the WWE not only preparing for what would be their best-selling WrestleMania in history, riding ratings victory over ratings victory, making money hand over foot, even at this point in time making a big splash with its still not quite a failure XFL. His competition was competition no longer, as ECW had gone into bankruptcy and rival Eric Bischoff's attempt to purchase WCW would be scrapped after Time Warner officially cancelled both Nitro and Thunder. McMahon would swoop in and buy both companies for pennies on the dollar, making the WWE the only game in town. With all three brands under one banner, fans lost their minds speculating dream matches, and when it comes to how that all turned out, well, that's for another time. The big dates I want to focus on today are March 20th, 2001, when Time Warner officially announced the cancellation of WCW Thunder, with its final episode being the next night, and WCW Nitro, whose final episode would be on March 26th. The March 26th episode of WCW Monday Nitro was the definition of going out with a whimper, from staff being fired and frisked on the spot backstage, to matches running under 3 minutes with no build to anything in the foreseeable future. The show was rushed, and the only consistent theme would be how much better the WWF is compared to WCW, and why you should be watching that instead.
I've heard you're buying WCW. I mean, are you sure you want to do that? I mean, I know quite a lot about that place. It's a bloody awful place.
They would have a cool simulcast moment where the same segment would air on both TNN and TNT, but that just served to push the Shane McMahon versus Vince McMahon feud that would see its climax take place 6 days later at Mania. We saw some quick title changes specifically to get championships onto talents that were going to be brought over to the WWE. Booker T won the World Heavyweight title, Rey Mysterio and Billy Kidman won WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Gold, though those belts would not end up carrying over. Not much else of note took place. This Monday Nitro would be regarded as the last televised show WCW ever put on. But was it? Today, in wrestling history! March 31st, 2001, World Championship Wrestling aired their final show ever, WCW Worldwide. Worldwide was at one point their flagship show in the NWA days, and featured matches from events all around the US until Eric Bischoff moved it to a studio set at MGM Studios in Walt Disney World. Once Monday Nitro became the A show for the company, Worldwide focused more on international syndication and would feature some in-studio matches in front of a crowd that paid absolutely nothing and mostly just came inside from the theme park to get out of that Florida sun and heat. In 1998, Worldwide became a studio panel show, hosted by Mike Tenay and Scott Hudson, where they would recap moments from major shows both past and present, air an undercard match from a recent event, and throw in some Worldwide-specific segments like AskWCW.com, Professor's Pick, backstage interviews, and loads upon loads of shilling.
And did I mention I was writing a book?
Now you would think the reason why many fans from the era don't remember this post-purchase show would be because it was a studio syndicated show. So who cares, right? After all, who watched Metal or Velocity? Who watches Afterburn or Bottom Line now? I'm not kidding, I didn't even realize Afterburn and Bottom Line are still on the air today. No, the reason why more people don't know about the final episode of WCW Worldwide is because it's basically lost footage. I'm not kidding. There's one video on YouTube that claims to be the final episode, but it isn't. It's cut together from several episodes of Worldwide, including segments of that final show, but it's not complete. And unfortunately, the only complete version I've been able to find looks like, well, this. If you know anybody who grew up in the 90s and they make reference to scrambly porn, this is what they meant. The video's distorted, fuzzy, sometimes black and white, and really unpleasant to watch. As a side project, I am working on trying to restore this final episode and put it back together. As you can see, I've got some parts looking better than others, But with that said, let's take a look at the very last show WCW ever put out, the March 31st, 2001 edition of Worldwide.
Wow, the Stinger!
Timmy, I'm from the Dream Come True Fantasy Foundation. You ready to wrestle?
You bet! Mom! Dad, it's really him! Hold on! Now I'm ready.
It looks so real.
Don't count on Sprite to do anything but quench your thirst.
We open with the traditional intro, a time-lapse of Worldwide Studio being assembled. Our hosts run down the results of WCW Greed, the company's last ever pay-per-view from 13 days prior. We're shown a video package highlighting the results of Greed, including the WCW Cruiserweight Tag Team Tournament Finals, Booker T winning the United States Championship from that guy that we're not supposed to know is Braun Breaker's dad, the climax of a feud involving the Rhodes family, Ric Flair and Jeff Jarrett, and the world title main event between Scott Steiner and Diamond Dallas Page before giving some worldwide trivia and going to commercial.
Thirst, many professionals reach for the smooth taste of Mellow Yellow.
Woo, baby! Mellow Yellow, the taste that beats Mountain Dew.
And now, Mellow Yellow has pictures and all the facts on your favorite NWA wrestlers. Ric Flair, Sting, the Road Warriors,
And even my pretty face.
head to your favorite store and collect all 12.
Woo! Take it from Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Make the Mellow Yellow move.
Coming back from commercial, our hosts set up for a replay of a match from the March 19th episode of WCW Nitro. A singles bout between Disco Inferno and the recently debuted Jason Jett, better known as Easy Money in ECW. I liked Jett, and I was actually really happy to see him get a push in WCW. Unfortunately, despite that push prior to purchase, he would be abandoned in WWE's developmental system and released a year later. Disco would end up failing to defeat the newcomer, just as his tag team partner Alex Wright had done previously. Back in the studio, Mike Tenay plugged the future of WCW's Cruiserweight division, sadly unaware that there would be no future WCW Cruiserweight division.
Come on, Big Sexy. What's wrong?
I've got Monster Truck Madness!
Monster Truck Madness for Nintendo 64. The biggest, fattest monster truck game in the world. 19 trucks to choose from, including Big Boy and the WCW NWO Wrestle Trucks. Multiplayer Mania allows 1 to 4 players to compete in 7 modes of play, including battle games.
Monster Truck Madness! Reach out and crush someone.
After another commercial break, our hosts introduce a worldwide regular segment, AskWCW.com, where fans could submit a question to anybody in the company, and that individual may answer the selected question.
What size shoe do you wear for the cat? Gloria, here's your answer.
What shoe does he wear?
Big shoes.
Thanks, Gloria, for your question on what size are my shoes. I do have big feet, so they size 13. Why you want to know that? I don't know, but there's the answer.
On this, the final episode, we didn't find out who drove the Hummer, we didn't get an update on Sid's leg. No, the question went to Tony Schiavone, and it was who his favorite person to interview was.
I started out doing interviews in sports entertainment many years ago, and back then I enjoyed talking with Ric Flair, Wahoo McDaniel, Roddy Piper, Dusty Rhodes, but the one man that I enjoy talking with more than any, you give him one subject, he can talk for hours on end, and that's the living legend, Larry Zbyszko.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Beef, spice, beef, spice. Little excitement, step into a Slim Jim.
Up next would be one of my personal favorites, Real Time Wrestling, the pop-up video portion of the show loaded with tidbits and trivia. This edition being DDP versus Buff Bagwell from WCW Sold Out 2000 over 1 year prior. Unfortunately, I don't have any good footage to show of that. I'm still hunting it down. This does take us to our halfway mark of the show. A majority of the second half would be the Professor's Pick, Mike Tenay's hand-picked moment from history to give fans a nostalgia hit. This time, Tenay chose War Games 1994, featuring the Rhodes family and the Nasty Boys taking on Terry Funk, Arn Anderson, Buckhouse Buck, and Colonel Parker. This segment would take up 19 of the show's remaining 21 minutes, leaving us with the only part of WCW Worldwide that many fans do remember, the sign-off. Scott Hudson would be asked about this part of the show if he and Mike Tenay knew Worldwide was done, considering they had just spent the last hour promoting WCW, its products, stars, and events.
We did 2 endings for that show. Both of them, 2.5 minutes long, whatever it was. And one of them was the one that aired, which was, we're done, we're closing up shop, we're setting this circus down, we'll see you on down the road or whatever. And the other one was, get ready for the launch of the new WCW and bigger and better than you've ever experienced, and we'll have more about that next week.
The ending we got was this one.
And this wraps up WCW Worldwide, not just for this week, but forever and a day. WCW gone, Worldwide gone. We want to thank you for joining us each and every week here on WCW Worldwide. What a great crew we've had. It's been a lot of fun taping these shows, and you can see we have a really good time. For Mike Tenay, I'm Scott Hudson. We'll see you down the road somewhere else. Thanks for watching Worldwide.
Worldwide would then roll credits, and that would be it for the final show WCW ever aired. What a shame. For the record, this is what best disputes that notion that Bruce Pritchard would insist on for years, that WCW meant to reboot and take Monday Night Raw's slot until an admittedly awful tryout match between Booker T and Buff Bagwell during what would be known as WCW Raw on July 2nd. Based on this closer, we know the WWE already knew how it was going to go down long before that match.
The unrest is growing, the power building. What forces fuel the rebellion? Who will lead the revolution? And the return of the WCW. The revolution is canceled.
But there you have it, the final WCW show ever. And it didn't end with Sting and Flair embracing. It didn't end with McMahon versus McMahon and a plug for WrestleMania. It ended with Hudson and Tenay saying goodbye for forever and a day. So I do want to ask you, what did you think? Were you a fan of these B or C shows growing up? Do you think it was an apt closer for a company that was definitely fading away with a whimper? Or did WCW deserve a better send-off? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more, because I want you to be a part of this conversation too. One last note, if you're a fan of OSW Review, you already know about this. But if not, there is a definitive fan tribute to the end of WCW out there, created by Tri-Moon, who unfortunately passed away in 2018. It's definitely worth a watch, and a link will be in the description. For now though, I want to thank you for tuning in to Jobbed Out. I'll catch you next time.